Headlines most affecting Abbotsford this week: 2 separate incidents of shots fired. Pulling over a speeding truck and then you find a gun. 2 small businesses receiving startup help from Community Future. And 'tis the season for basketball tournaments. Alex will have more on sports. Our guest this week includes some members of BARD in the Valley. All right, Abbotsford, let's get started. Last Thursday, Abbey PD were on the scene of the 2100 block of Holly Street, responding to reports of shots fired. Prior to the police arriving, the suspects fled the area in a red sedan. Abbey PD arriving on the scene confirming that a residence had been shot at. Unfortunately, nobody was hurt. Now, Abbey PD believes this incident was targeted. 2 suspects have been arrested. Investigators believe that a 3rd suspect remains outstanding. He was last seen in the area of Highway 1 and Bradner Road. This past Sunday, Abbotsford police responding to a report of another shots fired, but this time on the property of the 31500 block of Harris. The initial investigation determining that a property owner arrived to find a man on his property. An interaction occurred between the two, resulting in the suspect discharging a firearm and then leaving on foot. Nobody was hurt again. Now, the male suspect was last seen wearing a black hoodie with a Quick Silver brand logo on the back, dark jeans, and a light-colored ball cap. He is still at large. Back on December the 4th, Abbotsford PD observing an uninsured truck speeding along Gladwin. A vehicle stop was conducted, leading to the arrest of a 54-year-old driver after a rifle was found in the truck. The driver was actually out on bail from a previous firearms offense and remains in police custody pending court bail hearing. City of Abbotsford is looking at a property tax increase of almost 6% for 2025. The rate recommended by the city is just under, it's 5.98%, basically the same as the last 2 years. Funding for police and transit are the big ticket items. Public hearings were held earlier this week on the budget. Back in May, Abbey TV told you about the gourmet hot dog vendor Scully White, who was going to run for the federal Conservative nomination in Abbotsford South Langley. Well, in a development, Dustin Lee Hiles has announced that he's going to replace Scully as that Conservative nominee for Abbotsford South Langley. The decision comes after Scully White's heartfelt withdrawal from the race. He says he wants to focus on family and a life-saving kidney donation campaign. Hiles served the past 6 months as Scully White's nomination campaign manager, so White will now be the manager for Hiles. On November the 29th, a senior from Mission reported that he'd been the victim of a scam. The man received a call from a company that told him that he had won a new car. Well, the scammer said that in order for the man to receive the car, he would have to pay a $1,200 processing fee in the form of Apple gift cards. The man purchased the gift cards and sent them, and then later realizing, there's no car, and he was defrauded. So it's a reminder, if it's too good to be true, chances are, it's a scam. Community Future South Fraser announcing the winners of its Startup Challenge. This kind of hits home for organizations like Fraser Valley News and its founder, yours truly, because Community Futures and Small Business BC played a vital role in the startup of FEN back in 2015. Jennifer Mack of Abbotsford's Abide Studio took home the grand prize, impressing the judges with an innovative approach and vision. The grand prize package is valued at over $5,000, including resources to help grow the business. The People's Choice Award, voted by the audience, was awarded to Jen Bratton of Sproutkins. Along with community recognition, the winner receives a prize package of $750. That includes tools and resources to support their business journey. BARD in the Valley opens up its 2025 winter production on January 23rd with the world premiere of Rotten in the State of Denmark. Written and directed by local Langley director Darcy Knopp, it's Hamlet from a slightly different perspective. We'll have members of BARD in the Valley in a conversation in just a moment. So coming up, we'll have that interview. As well, Abbey PD and their basketball tournament, that's underway, and Sports with Alex is just a few minutes away. This week continues with a couple of old friends of the theater variety. BARD in the Valley is going to be kicking back into the season just after the new year. Bryan Cutler, you may know from the Harrison Festival, but You are the guru of Bard in the Valley. He's very proud of it. As well as Darcy Knopp, director. And this is, I love how you guys describe this. I'm going to steal from a Jimmy Buffett line. Hamlet from a different point of view.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair look at it. More of a modern take, something a little bit contemporary, so it makes it a little bit more accessible to the audience that we hope to bring in. Okay,
Rotten in the State of Denmark, by the way, is the name of the show. What was the genesis from you guys to put this together? Because Hamlet is Hamlet, Shakespeare is Shakespeare. Purists are purists. If they're going to expect Laurence Olivier, you're going to be surprised.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bard in the Valley, we're always looking for new shows to do. And, given that this is our winter show, we thought we'd take a chance on something that's sort of what we call Shakespeare adjacent. So it's not necessarily the classic Shakespeare, but it's something, a little bit outside. And a long-time associate of ours, Darcy, he's been an actor and a director. He had this show, and he put the proposal forward, and we read it, and we loved it. So here we are.
Is this in quote-unquote traditional Shakespearean dialogue, or is this more modern? Or
yeah, it's a complete overhaul of the language. It's modern English. It's very contemporary. In putting it together, we couldn't really hope to recreate the bard's poetry, but we thought we'd work on some of the dialogue and some of the character development. Change a few things up and come up with sort of a new take on a really classic and famous story. Arguably Hamlet is the most famous play in all of the English language. But I suppose that there was an arrogant writer who thought maybe they could do something a little better with it.
Well, speaking of this, without giving too much away, is it a complete walk away from Shakespeare, or is there enough there that the purist is, because the purist is going to sit there and go,
I think there's enough of the plot structure with Hamlet, so people are going to recognize the position that all the characters play in the narrative. But those characters are going to look a little bit different than what the classic play has. And I think people will be really taken by some of the performances that we're including in this show. It's a heavy play. It hits pretty hard. So I expect that the audience will be impacted by what they see on stage. So I'm really excited about it.
Something like this, I would think, would take a lot of pre-production when it comes to rehearsals and such like that. When did you guys start putting this together?
We've been at it for probably, 2 months now, at least rehearsing. But...
Yeah, I mean, we got started right at the beginning of October. Auditions were a couple of weeks before that. But some of the preparation that goes in even before we get actors into the game, the turning over of ideas and stuff, that happens well in advance, and proposals go together. And, if you're pitching the show, a lot of times the company wants to know exactly what do you plan on doing with costumes? What's your set going to look like?
Well, yeah, you mentioned costumes and set. Are we going to get the traditional, or is this a take? Or
I think you're going to see something that might look very contemporary. Something that if you were to turn on, there was a TV show called The Royals not too long ago, and it starred Elizabeth Hurley. Some of those kind of these are. The Danish royal family that we are covering in this show looks a lot like what you might see in a royal family today. Very stylish, very classy looking in terms of the costumes. Maybe above what the average person would find in their own wardrobe, but it's going to tell that story.
Mm-hmm. Show dates, they start.
Yeah, so we start on January 22nd is our preview. Mm-hmm. Our opening night is the 23rd, the following night. That's a Thursday. And then we finish the show on February 2nd.
Okay, so it's a long run.
It's a 2-week run. Yeah. And we do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of both those weeks.
And which theater are you using, or are you using a theater?
We're using the Fort Langley Community Hall. Okay. So that's not really, and we're not even using it in the theater space that they have set up. We're actually turning everything to the side. So everything is it's basically a square box that we're doing all of this in. So lots of fun. I'm the set designer, so I'm like starting
you
from
got the
scratch
headaches.
and-
Yeah.
and we're bringing in our own lighting and everything. So it's fun. It's lots of
Tickets through the website or?
yeah. You can go to bardinthevalley.com.
Okay.
And there's tickets available right there. So.
Gentlemen, as always, a big thank you. You're always welcome and looking forward to this.
Great.
Thanks
Thanks
very
again.
much. Yeah.
You're watching This Week.
Hey Abbotsford, let's talk some sports. The 2024 annual Abbey PD basketball tournament is now underway and runs through to Saturday. This brings together local high school students each year for some competitive fun. Games are at both Abbey Middle School and Secondary School. Saturday's final is at Columbia Bible College. The 2025 and 63rd annual Snowball Classic Basketball Classic is set to hit the floor at Abbotsford Secondary. Organizers announced the return of Fairfax High to the 63rd annual Snowball Classic. Fairfax last came to the tournament in 2015, beating Burnaby South in the finals. You can follow the Snowball Classic on their Instagram page. It was the All-Star Game of Young Football All-Stars, Valley Community Football's All-Valley Bowl at McLeod Athletic Park in Langley. This Pro Bowl are kids from all teams in the Valley. Each coach picks 5 of their best players and they go to the Pro Bowl. So Langley, Mission, Chilliwack, Abbotsford, and Maple Ridge all had kids on each team. In the Pee Wee game, it was the Valley Thunder over the Lightning by 50-0. And in the Junior Bantam game, it was the Valley Lightning over the Thunder 35-22. The BC Sportsman Show sees tens of thousands of visitors come out to this highly anticipated show every year. From fishing to hunting, everything is there. The 2025 show will be at the Tradex March 7th to 9th in the new year. Their website has been updated. The Abbotsford Pilots have a pair of weekend games. Friday it's against the Chilliwack Jets, and Saturday they host the Ridge Meadows. Both games at MSA Arena. That's been your Abbotsford Sports. Coming up, Cari with the weather.
Abbey TV weekend weather. So, Cari, are we looking at the chance of flurries?
Our weather for this weekend, there's a 20% chance that it's not going to rain, which means, yes, it's going to be cold and wet again. But Monday's looking pretty good with just cloudy with some sunny periods throughout the rest of the week. Temperatures, though, are going to hover around 5 or 6 degrees with getting down to around 0-2 at night. So it's going to be chilly. It's starting to be winter. Here's a fun fact. December 12th is actually Poinsettia Day, or Poinsettia Day, depending on how you want to say it. I love me a funky colored poinsettia, but if you want to buy me a white or a red one, I will accept. Back to you, Don. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks, Cari, and thank you for watching. If you have a local news story you'd like us to report on, you can always send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a great weekend. I'm Don Lehn.